Hello and welcome back to Neotech. Today I'm going to go over some of the miscellaneous machines and whatnots about the mod. So this mod video is going to have quite a lot in it, so bear with me as I try to go through all of them as quickly as possible. So to start things off, we have the pump. The pump's fairly simple. You give it some energy. Oh, I already have one. Okay. And a tank. I'm going to give it an iron tank. Give it the energy, and now you can see it's starting to pump. Give it a tank, and anything that's not water will get replaced with smooth stone to reduce lag and whatnot. And there you go. Pumped everything out. Sometimes it misses this block, but you know, that's just how it is. I think it's because it's full. Maybe not. Maybe it just missed it. Anyway, it will extend these mechanical pipes down to the fluid and pump a radius around that point, including depth. Sometimes, again, as I said, it misses this one. That's something I have to analyze in my algorithm, but I feel missing one little source block isn't going to be too big of a deal. It's fairly efficient as well. So, to move on from there, let's give this guy some power as well. Here we have the electric logger, and as you would expect, it does trees. Here are the sapling slots. This is the harvest inventory, so as it harvests things will go in here. And of course this is the tools slots. So let's get an axe. So let's get a diamond axe and stick him right here. Now if I get myself some saplings, let's just go with oak for the moment, because then I can get some apples. In fact, let's give it a stack. Now, there's a bit of a cooldown on this. I think it's around 10 seconds before it will actually plant these guys. So it might take them a second to actually get around to planting. This is because loggers are notorious for lag, and up there it goes, just as I was about to force an update. So as you can see, it planted in this area around it. It was sort of taking its time. Again, loggers are very notorious for being laggy, and anything that falls around this, you can see the sapling will get picked up by the machine, so it will pick up saplings and put them back into here. Now, as you can see, it does use some power when chopping. So to show you how it works, I am going to get some bone meal in one of these tabs. There it is. So if I grab this, you can see it takes it out in chunks, including the leaves. I believe it does about 4 blocks, including leaves, at a time, and chops them up. We should get some apples in here, but you can see the logs. If you don't have shears, of course, it's not going to harvest the leaves. But as it breaks the leaves, you have the chance to get apples as well, and saplings will get automatically put up here. You can see one got found right there. This is very efficient, and it is done in the most lag-free way. As you can see, it's doing chunk based on a sphere radius around it. So as it finds a tree, it will then build a map of the tree, including logs connected around it. So even if a tree extended way over here, it would still chop all that stuff down. But you can see at the moment, it's working its way up this tree. Because it does go through leaves, it takes a little bit. And again, with all machines, it can be upgraded. Let's see here, it takes 20 RF per chop. It does a 5x5 range, so as you can see, the 5x5, actually it's 6x6. I may have that misnomered, excuse me. Chop count does 2 blocks every time, so about 2 blocks every second. And there's this big old long description about it you can read. The processors will allow it to break more at a time. So up to 4 processors will break 64 blocks every 2 seconds, including the leaves. Now the hard drives, of course, will increase the area, I believe, each time a hard drive. Okay, so yeah, the range will get increased by 4. So it'll come out here, I believe. So you can get a fairly well upgraded tree farm. As you can see, he's still working on this tree. So it's going to make its way through, and then once it's done with the leaves, it'll start on the new tree. It kind of keeps up with this stuff on its own, but Again, an upgrade is probably what you want. If I can find an upgrade, here he is. Let's put an upgrade in him. Oop. So now you should see he's going to go quite a bit faster. In fact, it has the single tree poof. And poof. Without causing lag. The lag that is caused by this, again, if you start having a very large farm, comes from the fact that when a block is broken in Minecraft, it forces the entire chunk to be re-rendered. I tried going around this and preventing the chunk re-render, but if I did that, oh wow, so yeah, I extended the range with the hard drives, but I actually don't want to do that because then I'm going to have trees everywhere. Let me get rid of all these guys. So as you can see, that's the range with full upgrades. It goes all the way out here. So if I were to suggest the best way to use the tree farm, I would say don't necessarily upgrade the hard drive. Focus more on upgrading the processors, because that will allow you to chop down trees faster. You can have a smaller farm that will chop down more trees and will still provide quite a lot of wood. So sometimes farm size doesn't necessarily matter. It will also reduce lag. A small area like this, even if a tree grows every second, is going to be fairly efficient. So, moving on with that, while I'm on the subject of crops and such, let's get the miniature sun. In fact, I should probably show you the recipe for the tree farm, just for consistency, although, again, we have full JEI support. Tree farm, bronze, tools, and the pump, since I missed it, some interface pipes, and that. So if I were to stick some miniature suns here, they are going to increase the growth rate in this area. So as you can see, trees are coming up quite faster now. Now again, you'll want to upgrade the processors in this to be able to go faster, but as you can see, it's better suited for you to get miniature suns and increase the growth rate of the small area and chop that than to take a huge area. But if your server doesn't get mad at you, feel free to do the big area. Again, you know, tree farms are notorious for this even outside of 1.8. 1.8 made things a little bit better, but you're still having the same issue that you're causing block updates, and there's not really an easy way to go around that. So there was the miniature sun and the farm miniature sun. Because it does significant growth rate improvements, it does require a nether star. If you use one, you will quickly understand why they increase the growth rate a lot. And you can also put bone meal in here, and this will disable the use of bone meal, but this will increase it even further. You can see I had one right here, and all of a sudden these trees are growing. So they will increase the growth rate by a lot. Now, I haven't mentioned these yet, but these are tanks. Very simple. They hold fluids. I have to go over to NEI, or JEI, excuse me, to see these recipes. Here we go. Bucket. Upgrade. Again, if this has anything in it, it will get transferred into the new one, and an upgrade as well. If you put fluids into this and then break it in world, it will retain its inventory, and I guess I should just demonstrate that. Let's fill this guy up with 4,000, and let's get a pickaxe, and break him, and you can see we have 4,000 lava. And you can also right click. If you are getting these notifications, press in and you can move where they are displayed. I choose the left because I have Wayla in the middle, and when you press it, it'll show up on the left. That is part of the bookshelf API. If you see again, the default is the center, so if you see this, when you click on a tank with an empty hand, hit N, hit left. There you go. Now they're over there. So this is the tanks. The tanks also have an added functionality that you can pull liquids in and out like this. So they work kind of as giant buckets. They can't interact with things in world, but can act with other fluid inventories. So feel free to use your tank in such a way. That's the tanks in a nutshell. Over here we have a chunk loader. This is the range around. 0 chunks around means it will load its own chunk. 1 chunks around means it will load its own chunk and a radius of 1 around, so a 3 by 3 area. So 1 around equals 3 by 3, 2 around equals 5 by 5 because it takes its chunk. So let's pretend this is a chunk. That would be 0 around. This would be 1 around with the chunk loader in the middle here. And then 2 around would be this many chunks around it. You get the idea here. It's based off of a radius, so 1 around, 2 around, chunk loader. And I believe it goes up to 3 around, which can be configured in the GUI, and that'll do what you want. Next up is the flushable chest. Kind of a fun little guy. As you can see, I stick things in here. I hope I don't need any of that because it's about to be gone. And if I give it a redstone signal, like a pressure plate, you hear it burn and everything's gone. So it's a chest that gets rid of stuff. Now, there's another block I have called the redstone clock, which is a redstone clock. If you don't mind having that noise, this will pretty much keep it automatically voiding, kind of like a trash can. There is an actual trash can planned that won't be super noisy, but for the moment, you can do that. And again, the redstone clock, while I have it out, acts as a redstone clock. It is fairly efficient. It doesn't cause any block updates. It just causes redstone updates, which for redstone blocks will cause an update. So you can see here, it flashes on for a tick every second. It's not changing. You can even look at the F3 menu. The ticking is not getting sent to the client. It's only on the server that the block update is changing. And it can be disabled with a redstone signal as well. So just as you'd expect, you want to put this on a Tinker's faucet, it'll automatically pour out. And the reason I have been using SortTex's entire spotlight is to show you that some of our things have dynamic textures, such as this, which will use the textures of the pack you have. So a lot of our stuff, we try to make it adaptable to your resource pack, should it be possible. That is the flushable chest and the redstone clock. So now we have Donovan's special, the dimensional crate. It's a barrel. Didn't get much better than that. If I go into survival and I punch, it gives me 1. Shift click gives me all of them. I can shift right click to lock it, and then if I pull everything out, it will remain that and only accept grass. If I were to go back into creative and get myself a bunch of grass and continually right click on it, it will empty your inventory just as you would expect any other barrel to do. If I go into AI here and press left shift for upgrade information, in order to get upgrades into this, you have to make a motherboard and then right click on it. Hard drives will increase the stack storage by 64 stacks per upgrade. The expansion will turn it into a cobble gen, and I'll show you how to do that in a moment. And then the control upgrade gives it OR-dict matching. So if you have multiple types of copper, you can put them all in the barrel and it will automatically convert it to whatever copper you placed in there. So let's go and make an upgrade. I have one. Here we go. So if I want to upgrade this guy, and I'm actually going to do this with a different one because I'm going to make it a cobble gen. I stick him here, and actually I need to put that back. And I want to install this. So boom, right click, all of a sudden I now can put a lot more stuff in it. So now if I get some lava and some water, because I have the expansion upgrade, it's going to generate cobblestone. And in the future, processors will increase the amount that is generated per tick on this cobble gen. But this is a very efficient and cheap cobble gen. Well, I wouldn't call it cheap. You have to make the dimensional crate, which is cheap, but you also have to make the motherboard. So, you know, it's not the fastest. It will be faster in the future. In fact, by the time you're seeing this, it may already have the processor upgrade. To check the tooltip. Once we add that, we will add that to the tooltip. It's actually on my list. As soon as I can poke Donovan to get it done, it'll be done. That is the dimensional storage, or the dimensional crate, excuse me. It's internally called the dimensional storage. If I were to get a wrench, however, and shift right click on this guy, you can now see it kept its inventory, so I can pick him up with a wrench, come drop him over here, and ta-da, it still has all that stuff. So if you want to be able to move these guys without losing all of your stuff, shift right click with a wrench, and there you go. And should you want to pull out the upgrades that are in there already, I need to go back to survival for this because I don't want to break it. I simply punch it with a wrench and there's my upgrade, and then I can stick them back in here and it's generating cobble again. So that's how you interface with that. Because it does not have a GUI, you have to punch it with the wrench to get it out, and you just right click the motherboard onto it to put it in. So now we are on to some of the final things, and that is the mob stand. I'm going to come over here where I have placed a charge. So here it is. There's a lot of stuff in here at the moment, but before we do that, we need a net launcher, which requires steel and any battery. The battery you put in it determines the size of the battery in the net launcher. And I threw it on the ground. Next, we need mob nets. It stacks up to 16, and the recipe's fairly cheap. So if we were to charge this guy and spawn in something, let's go with something easy to catch that's not dangerous. A cow. Let's go with a cow. So now I get my net launcher, I pull it back, I missed, and I launch it. So here we have the mob net. If I were to put the mob net into this guy, you can see I now have a cow. So if I fit it to the block, it will try to fit the mob into a single block space. You can see here, if I were to put this up for comparison, it puts the cow, based on its bigger dimension, its length, into the space of one block. Now, if it was a tall mob, it would shrink it down into, so like a zombie, it would still only be as tall as a single block, but it would still fit on there. If I turn off fit, it renders actual size. So here's the actual size of the cow. I'm going to put him back to fit because I like that. But if you turn off fit, you can now change the size with this guy. So now I have a very, very tiny cow, or a full-size normal cow. Put him back to fit. Name, if the mob has a name, meaning you've named it with a name tag, it will display here. You can also name the mob in the net. So if you put this into an anvil and name it, when you spawn the animal again, it will have that name on the mob. There's a rotation here. As you can see, I can rotate this to any degree I feel. But what I think is fun and creepy at the same time is follow. So now, no matter where I move, this cow is going to look at me. And it's based off the camera position. So as you can see, it's very smooth. No matter how fast I go, no matter how far I am, he's always going to be looking right at me. And that is the follow. If you want to creep people out, that's a good way to do it. And this is based per client. So if I had another player over here, to that player, the cow would be looking at him. So if you set up a bunch of these in your house and had like a line of them, anyone who comes in would suddenly have all these mobs staring at them. So I'm going to turn that off for now, and you can see here it has the tooltips over them because it's a little creepy. But this is a way you can display the things that you've captured. If you want to put them back into the world, simply right-click with the net, and there you go. You can put this back in the stack and catch it again. The nets are not consumed. So as you can see, as I shoot it, it goes off into the distance. Probably landed somewhere over here. I think I missed it. Anyway, it does land, and you can pick it back up. So I'll just shoot one here to show you. There you go. If it hits something it cannot catch, or something else, it will just pop back like that. So let's get rid of these. Alright, so now that we've gone over that, it's time to go over some of the final things in the mod. For tools, I went over them in the upgrade video, but I'm going to give a quick update here. I'm not going to do a full video on these until they are fully done and implemented, but you can install up to 10 upgrades on any given tool. And I'm going to grab just a couple of things. A lighting upgrade, let's get jetpack, let's get, what else do we have? Hover, let's get the hover upgrade. Don't want night vision, don't want fall resist. And these will have tooltips to tell you which pieces of armor they can go on. So at the moment, please bear with us as we're developing it. I'm going to go ahead and put the area of effect and the shovel upgrade and the lighting upgrade onto this pickaxe. There we go. You can see that the icon does change dynamically. That thing on the top is a shovel. I'm not great with textures, so please don't complain about them yet. I'm trying to get that fixed by somebody who is good at textures. So I'm going to charge these guys up. As you can see, they charge just like any other RF thing. It has a nice little tooltip there to tell you all about it. And I'm going to charge him up because I need to show you how to turn things on and off on your tools. So, at the moment, if I were to hold down G, which is the default button, I get two options, automatic lighting and area of effect. This toggles on the two things for this tool. Now, at the moment, I have no stone around me, but I'm a shovel upgrade, so I can dig this grass. If I were to turn area of effect on, all of a sudden, this is how much I can dig, because my area, AOE, is a 9x9 when active. So if I were to go into survival and start digging, I just dug all that. I'm not going to do that a lot more because, as you can see, that took a significant amount of my energy. And, well, in creative, it doesn't take any energy, but there you have it. Now, if I have armor on, in order to activate the specific things for a tool, you hold the tool in your hand and then you hold down G. As you can see, I'm also wearing armor, so these three have shown up. I'm going to turn off area of effect and turn on automatic lighting. Automatic lighting is fairly simple. If I go into night, if it gets dark around me, wherever I go, I will place light. Let's make it a little darker. Seems this world already has light. Anyway, as light goes below a certain value, this will get placed, it will place a light source. You can place them manually with a right click while it's active, but that is how that works. So again, automatic lighting. As you're mining and the light level goes below what a mob can spawn, it will automatically put down a light source, which is an air block that gives off light. Now, as you can see, I have three other upgrades. I have gliding, hover, and jetpack. If I press space, I get this stuff underneath me. And if I go into F5, you can sort of see the sort of rocket effect from my jetpack. It does what you would expect a jetpack to do. It flies. If I press shift while in the air, I glide, just like sort of like an open blocks hang glider. And that does apply with any sprinting upgrades. So as you can see, I can fly around, have some fun. Also with that, if I go into here, I can press control to hover. So if I press control, I hover. Now this does use energy, that's why you see the particles, but it's like I'm sneaking in the air. I'm hovering around, holding my position. If I let go, I can go up, I can go down. Control keeps me where I am. By default, of course, the jetpack just sort of makes you go up and down, as a jetpack does, but control will hold your position. So you do that, you press sneak to fly around with the gliding ability, and that is the mobility from the chest plate. All of those options use electricity. Even the gliding uses electricity because it has to keep your momentum up. You can install fall resist on boots so you don't take damage when you fall. If you are to do this to sort of stop your momentum, that works as well, but you know how most people will end up falling to their death using jetpacks anyway, especially if you get way up here and you run out of power and you have to fall all the way back down. You can't stop yourself with control. So that's the tools. Again, those will be their own video. I just wanted to sort of show them off in the state they're in. As you can see, the icons are by no means final. These are probably final. I mean, I think they look okay. As you put more upgrades on it, it will show the different things like mining speed. Of course, you have the tooltip. You can install up to 10. There's things like fortune. I would just say when you install this mod, take a look at the things that are available to you at that moment, because the system we've set in place makes it very easy to add more modifiers, and they will be coming rapidly as I start implementing them. Alright, now on to the final things of Neotech, the decorations and other such things. So as you can see here, we have a lot of starlights. They kind of look like miniature suns, except they're very cheap and they don't cause plants to grow. All they are light sources that you can attach to blocks, just like the miniature sun. The miniature sun does the exact same thing. Whatever block face you attach it to, it will attach to. If you're sneaking, it will float in the air as such. Okay, that's pretty much all of them. You can dye them in world just like the pipes. You can craft them with a dye. All the same things. Now we go on to our final three, which are my essentially proof of concept things for the connected textures renderer. In part of Bookshelf, which is the core mod of Neotech, I have written a connected textures renderer. And in order to take full advantage of that, we have three things. The phantom glass, which you can walk through, but entities cannot. The void glass, which blocks light, and the rock climbing wall. Now, phantom glass, as you can see, is a connected texture. So it does as you would expect, and you can walk right through it, unless you're sneaking, which then you cannot. Any entity, including item entities, cannot pass through it. So only players can freely walk through this. If you're building a base, I would suggest building them out of this, because then all you have to do is just have your front door a bunch of glass, and then you walk through your front door, nothing's stopping you, but no monsters can get in, and you don't have to worry about the door opening and closing, no lag from that. If the server's down, super laggy, and you have to sit here and wait for the door, now you can just walk right through. I love it. I use it all the time. I actually need to turn that off because I'm kind of tired of those. So that's the phantom glass. Again, you can climb on it if you're sneaking. If you're really careful, you can climb up it as I just did. Next is the void glass. If I were to do this, and this actually would have been perfect for demonstrating that automatic lighting thing, but as you can see, this is also a connected texture. Has a bit of a tint to it, so if you like super pretty connected textures glass, the light is blocked in there. Again, for some reason, this is a fairly lit area. I'm not sure what I did there, but it will block light. Let's go in there and see if it's dark. Yeah, so none of the light from the outside is coming in. So that's if you want to be able to block light out of a place like a mob spawner, but you still want to be able to see in, void glass is your friend. And last, one of my personal favorites. I did this on a whim. I thought about it, I think it was like a dream or something, and I thought that would be cool. So we have the rock climbing wall, and I know I'm amazing at textures, right? So that's what this is. This is me making a rock climbing wall texture. It is connected textures, so as you place it around, it does that. If you're placing the block, you're going to want to sneak, because otherwise you'll get moved around. So if you walk up to this and you right-click it, you will go to wherever you right-clicked. But that's not really helpful. If you sneak, so you're climbing the wall and you right-click, you can see I'm off the ground. If I right-click again, like that yellow one right there, I'm on the yellow one. So I can continue to do this all the way up, and I'm sneaking, so I'm not falling. And if I click the top face, now I'm on the top. So this is a way to climb up something. So ladders aren't really all that fun, but if you want to go up really quickly, you can just do that, and all of a sudden you're way up here. And I can tell you from using it in a play test server that I just dug straight down to Y level, I think like 11 or something, and I used a line of these as my transportation in and out of that mine, and it was actually really cool. So you can climb up this guy just like that, and you can see now I'm way up here. Now it does stop fall damage, so if I were to do this and then stop right before the end, my fall damage would be gone and I could like manually climb down. But I found you're going to want to be very careful, because especially when you have a really high up one, as you start coming down, sometimes it's very hard to see you're at the bottom, and sometimes you're too late. So be very careful, but this is a way to go up and down. If you are going to put things, you cannot click on the bottom face. So you can see I'm clicking on the bottom and nothing's happening. It has to be on a side face or a top face. But if you watched right there, your location based off of the wall. So my depth, I guess I would say, is based on how close I am. If I click here, my depth is preserved. If I click from way out here, my depth is preserved. So you can't climb this from far away. You can click on it and kind of spam click your way up, but that's not your best idea. You want to get right up on it. You want to sneak so you don't fall. If you're within half a block, you won't fall. So you can see I'm sneaking and I fell off. So if you're sneaking within half a block and you just spam right click, you're climbing up, you're at the top of the wall. I encourage you to give it a try. It's actually a lot more fun than it looks. Let's go over some quick recipes here. The Phantom Glass is a door and some glass to get you 8, very cheap. Void Glass is an ink sac around some glass, again, very cheap. And the Rock Wall is some cobblestone and 2 tin ingots to be the little rocks that you climb on. And it gives you 8, which again, these are meant to be very cheap. They're just fun, sort of utility decoration stuff. I think we have 2 more things, the trash bag and the spawn remover. This video is going to be a little long because it's just a bunch of random things. Here we go. We are going to get the trash bag. It's got some leather, 2 string, and it's pretty cool. This is another great mining utility. So it has a phantom slot that if I put anything in, stack size does not matter, and then I pick it up. Did you hear that subtly different pickup noise? If I look in my inventory, I do not have that grass block. So now, anything that I pick up of this type will get trashed. If I open up my trash bag, and the description of this is in JAI, but it's easier to show you what I mean because it's kind of complicated to describe. If I want to throw something away, I obviously can't put it up here, but you can see I can't pick this up. Why can't I pick this up? Because you don't want to throw away your trash bag. But if I drop something on that icon, it's gone. So you can throw stuff away into your trash bag manually. Now for probably the final thing, second to final thing, excuse me, I forgot we had that, and the void tank. Void tank is a tank, you pump stuff in it, it goes away forever. It's kind of like a fluid trash can. I should have mentioned that with the tanks, but I forgot we had it. The electromagnet, lead, iron, does what you would expect it to do. It is a magnet that pulls stuff towards you. Though I would be careful if I were you, because it does not only pull items towards you. It will pull anything dangerous. Creepers, fireballs, arrows, you name it. It's not gonna, it's gonna pull stuff towards you. It's not really fair to just have it only pull items. I always thought that was a little bit overpowered. So be very careful. This thing will pull creepers towards you, arrows towards you, gassed fireballs, blazed fireballs, lit TNT. This is your warning. Be very careful with this on, but it's very powerful. It can pull things within a 10 block radius to you. So if I were to drop this guy over here and go fairly far, you can see I'm way over here, and I turn it on, you can see it's starting to pull it. That is the electromagnet, and for the final time, I do believe this is the last thing. I mentioned this earlier on the grinder, but a player-sensitive pressure plate is exactly what you would expect. Only players can activate it. Monsters, items, nothing else can activate it. Pretty simple and self-explanatory. But the spawner mover, if I were to drop a spawner right here, and I hold right-click, there we go. I now have the spawner inside of this. So the reason you have to pull it back is because we didn't want you to just be able to sit back in safety and just right-click on it. We wanted you to have to get up to it and actually hold it down for a few seconds. And the same goes to place it. So you have to come up to it and then go back. You can pick it up, move it wherever you want. It's like those little extendo grab claw things that you get at amusement parks. It will pick up the spawner and put it back down. The recipe for this is, of course, an emerald and 2 sticks. In a normal world, this makes it kind of rare, not super rare, but it's not the most useful because you still have to stand around the spawner. In the future, we will have ways to do automatic spawning, but again, that is the future. That is not at the moment. If that comes up in the future, I will make a separate video on that. And I believe that is all for Neotech. We've been through quite a lot. We've looked at everything that is in-game and working. There is one thing here called the attractor that is work in progress. I'm not going to talk about it now because I will do a separate machine video later on that, but that is Neotech. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments, the Minecraft forum, reach out to me on Twitter, you name it. There's ways to get me. There's a way to get Dio. We have an IRC channel. Just give us a call. We'll try to help you out. There's some great people over on the forums that will answer any questions you have, and they'll get you where you need to go. I know that some of the more complicated things, such as the thermal binder, have been a little confusing to people, which is why these videos were created. And ideally, they should have the information they need at this point. Again, I will update this as more things come out. This video has gone on a little longer than I anticipated it to do because I did not realize how many miscellaneous things we had in the mod. So I'm going to end it here. Again, download on CurseForge, go to the forums to comment, subscribe to me, please, because I will be posting here much more often, and I want you guys to be able to see this information as it comes out. Today, when these videos came out, I posted many videos, so if you want the most up-to-date information, please subscribe. Again, new information comes out, I will make a video. Ideally, when the new things like the new power generation system I have in mind come out, we'll have a new video, we'll add it to the playlist, it'll be great. And at that point, I'll see you whenever the next video comes out. Alright, goodbye.